you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, our latest season that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you and tries to make you better by bringing the most amazing guests on the show with their amazing mindsets, their perspectives on life, the things that they'll teach you from the stories and lessons they've learned in their life, and how to overcome sometimes diversity and be a better person. And we were going to have a show that was going to teach you how to be worse people, but it seems like the world's doing that on enough as its own. So go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the ticket, Talkity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today we have an amazing young lady joining us on the show. We're going to be getting into it with her insights, et cetera, et cetera. Daphne Michaels joins us on the show. And boy, she's going to be talking about something she terms ultra consciousness and leadership. Mixed with that, I think we'll get into what that means and talk to some of the offerings she has. She's a multi-book author, and we're going to be talking to her on the show. Welcome to the show. How are you, Daphne?
I'm doing very well, and I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy to have you as well. So give us .com where people can find you in the interwebs.
DaphneMichaels.com.
Mm-hmm. And your build is a pioneering force in the world of leadership transformation, known to many as the CEO Maker, for her remarkable ability to guide leaders and organizations in new heights of consciousness and achievement. And 2 decades of hands-on experience, a best-selling author, nationally syndicated columnist, and highly sought-after advisor for small business owners and CEOs. Daphne, welcome to the show. Give us like a 30,000 overview of what you guys do there.
Well, when you said that I work with CEOs and that I've been called the CEO Maker, the reason for that is because I not only go into the organizational structure and every department in terms of flow and how people are delivering their product, but I am equally as interested in the embodiment of the CEO. So in other words, the CEO themselves or senior leadership, they need to develop themselves in terms of their human potential on an entirely different level than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. You go. And why is it so important that they do that above everyone else?
Because they are carrying the tone for their entire organization. Mm. And in my work, I work with energetics. So I started working with the energetics many decades ago, and I was also a licensed psychotherapist. And so I understand the depth of the human psyche. And at the depth of the human psyche, we get into the territory of quantum awareness.
Quantum awareness. And tell us what a definition is for that, quantum awareness.
So quantum awareness is about understanding, becoming aware of life on an energetic level. So you've heard quantum physics as, it's the new physics in terms of it's very well respected, and it's a theory, but it's very well respected. Mm-hmm. So quantum awareness is where human potential experts understand that underneath the thoughts and feelings and behaviors of people is their core energy. And the core energy is who they really are. And so that is quantum awareness.
And what is ultra consciousness? I'm not even sure I'm conscious half the time. A lot of us fly through life on our coattails, I suppose. and we're just hanging on for dear life. What does ultra consciousness mean?
Well, interestingly enough, the human potential work is about becoming aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, and how we can get the most out of our life and also do the best in our life. So that takes us to human potential, and that is self-awareness. Quantum awareness takes it into an entirely new dimension, because once we get into quantum awareness or ultra consciousness, which is kind of the same thing, we are beyond self-awareness, and now we're connected to the universe.
Connected to the universe. That's a good place to be. And so how does that help us in getting that upgrade to the thing? Do I have to pay extra for this to get the upgrade?
The upgrade. Well, the upgrade the upgrade is something we earn through our practices. And what we're really trying to do is we're trying to move beyond ego. And from a psychological standpoint, the ego is actually kind of important in a chaotic world, because it's our defense structure. It keeps us from being hurt. We have defenses. And so the ego, but the thing about the ego is that we developed the ego by the time we were 7 years old. So when we're out in the world and we're operating on ego, we're operating as our 7-year-old self. So the upgrade is to upgrade the way that we interact with ourselves, with another, and the world. That's the upgrade. And that really takes us becoming more aware of how we think, how we feel, why we feel this way, and how we can get to our core energy to really bring something special to the world.
Now, you call the movement that you do the Shiva movement, SHB movement. Do I have that right? The
SHIB movement.
SHIB movement. I'm sorry. I got that. I was trying to find my notes here. The SHIB movement. Tell us about what this is, and is it a cult I've got to join where there's sacrifices of goats or anything like that? Because I'm kind of into that thing.
You are? Well, the thing is that I've been teaching what I teach in terms of energetics and quantum awareness for over 25 years.
Wow.
And I had an institute before COVID, and people would come from all over the United States, and we would do very intensive weekend seminars. And sometimes people would say, is this like a cult or something? And, that it is such a funny thing that people say or ask about, because, generally a cult, it's about a leader trying to take control, right? Yeah. Okay. So it's definitely not a cult, because I have no interest in taking control of anybody. What I do is empower people to take control of their life.
That's a cult in and of itself.
That's a cult in and of itself.
Form your own cult, folks, and fix yourself. How about that?
And be your own guru.
Yeah. Just stay away from that Kool-Aid. You'll be fine. I've heard bad things about it. It's been
I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid. Too much of that going on.
Here's a good analogy, maybe. This is your thing, so correct me if I'm wrong. But, one of the problems with the ego is it tends to drink its own Kool-Aid, right?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the problems with the ego. It can't see much. I don't know if it can. That might be not a bad analogy. You can't see outside. But, there's an old analogy that fish can't see water. And humans can't see air. So it's kind of an analogy of how we swim so much in our own kind of ego BS that, we start to buy our own bullshit, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what happens. You're right. And, when you talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, I hate to get dark here at all, but you're really talking about death, right? Right? So, and that is the death of the spirit. When the ego drinks its own Kool-Aid, it is the death of our spirit. That's why it's so important to do this work.
The death of the spirit. Can't be having that, because that's you got to keep your spirits up. That's why I drink vodka. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Bad. I did that before. Don't do that, folks.
No, wrong type of spirit.
Wrong type of spirit. Switch to whiskey. No, we're still on the wrong track.
Switch to you, Chris. Switch to you.
Switch to me. So you work with leaders and organizations and people that come to you to help. What sort of client is a client look like for you? Do I need to be on Elon Musk and have buku bucks, or can it be average Joe?
Well, I don't think anybody is an average Joe or Josephine or whatever. I don't think anybody is average. And, have
you been on Twitter lately? No, I'm just teasing.
No, I haven't been on Twitter.
There's some really below average over there, but go on. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, I'm talking about people that I work with.
Oh, yeah, that's right. People you work with are smart.
Well, you know what? They want to live in peace, and they want to live in kindness, and they don't want to live in chaos, and they want to bring something good to the world.
Yeah. Bring something good to the world, people.
The people I work with are pure of spirit. We don't get into religion. We don't get into politics, although people that I work with come from all different religions, all different political beliefs and so forth. We rise above it so that we can connect with one another where we're supposed to be connecting, which is in unity consciousness. We're all one people, one love.
Yeah, I like this. One of my favorite songs is John Lennon's song Imagine.
Yes, that's the territory.
Yeah, imagine all the people getting along for a change.
We can. We can do it. And there's a way to do it when we understand quantum awareness. Because, and I'll tell you why, and I know this is going to sound funny, but here's the thing. With quantum physics, there are 11 dimensions to life.
Oh.
Okay. When we use this model for human potential work, we're looking at different dimensions to life. So the dimension of the ego is just one small dimension. And we can get into higher fields of experience and higher fields of understanding and higher fields of connection through shifting our awareness and building our vibration and our frequency to get into higher states of consciousness where we can connect on a whole different level.
Oh. And do you want to tease out some of these 11 states, these 11 things that maybe tease them out a little bit?
I really focus on the first 5 in my teachings. So think about it this way. When we are in the chaos of everyday life, our defenses are, intact. We're afraid and we're defensive. And it's just, like I said, it's not the best part of us. That's called the first field. Okay. That's one dimension. Okay. Beside that or above it, depending on how you want to look at it, is an entirely different dimension of life. And this dimension we find when we are in a protected environment, when we're among friends, or when we're in nature, or maybe a retreat, something where we can relax and we can receive a higher vibration from life. We receive more of a good feeling. Okay. This allows our own frequency to rise. And from this place, we have access to potential that we will never have access to in that chaotic first field.
Yeah.
So now we can start figuring out how to build our life, how to manifest our life from a higher frequency of the second field. But we all know that the second field does not exist in the first field. So then there's another thing we have to do. We have to get to the third field. And the third field is flow. And everybody can relate to flow states of consciousness. And the flow states of consciousness tell us that we are now accessing that deeper part of us. It's not buried below the ego. We're accessing it, and we're learning how to bring it through at will so that we can go back into the world and be in flow rather than fear. And that is the third field. All sorts of amazing things happen, right? You know, people connect like you and I are connecting. This is third field. This is not the chaos of the first field. This is a different level. So the fourth field is incredibly interesting. And anybody who understands energy work or has ever done Reiki or been involved in energetic practices, even meditation and mindfulness, understands that we connect beyond space. So even though, you know, one of our loved ones may be at a different location in the world, we know we're still connected because we can feel it. Energy workers work with that field because we can send energy to different places in the world through right where we are. So we can impact energetic healing and energetic vibration and so forth. That is outside of space. That's the fourth field.
Wow.
And then the fifth field that I work with is timelessness. We have to pay attention to our timeless nature. When we look up into the sky at night and we see the stars, and now we're in the fifth field because now all of those problems that seem so insurmountable actually are not as insurmountable as we think because we're in a larger container and we're actually accessing greater intelligence, heightened intelligence through being in this timelessness. It's where most of the really good thoughts come from. Epiphanies come from here. So in my work, I teach people to understand which field they are in. And if they're in the first field, they can recalibrate their being to rise to a higher vibration so that now they can approach their life and their leadership from a higher perspective. And it's little practices we do that take us to these different dimensions.
Oh, wow. So how long do you usually work with people? How long does it take to master this on average, would you say?
You know, it's really interesting. I have very long-term clients. So I have clients that I've worked with for over 20 years, but it's because I've had an institute and people like this work. So we just kept going. So in terms of the work, there's never an end to it. In other words, I will never, you will never, we will never understand everything about the universe. We will never understand everything about our own consciousness. So it's a lifetime journey. Now, this said, it is absolutely remarkable how fast this work works. Because, like I said, I was a psychotherapist for a long time. And I also did energetic work as well. And I was able to compare the two in terms of regular psychotherapeutic scope of practice or working energetically and helping people develop their own energy system to get to these heightened states of consciousness. And I will tell you, something can happen in one session that could take 6 months in a regular psychotherapeutic framework.
Oh, wow.
Because of how fast this is. Once you are able to get beyond your ego, it's where people have epiphanies. They say, oh my gosh, I realized something. Everything changed when I realized that. So this work helps people realize. It helps people get tuned into a higher truth. And so when that happens and they go with it and they surrender to the wave, they can transform themselves so quickly.
Wow. Yeah, the ego is such a tricky thing. It gets in our way. It's kind of designed in some ways to help us and kind of, I don't know, keep us from going maybe insane a little bit. But then the ego can, it can become its own little Pandora's monster box of self delusion and self lies and all that sort of stuff. Why do we have the ego? What is that ego thing about? Why is causing all the problems over there?
It'll be interesting. A lot of people want to get beyond ego. It's becoming part of mainstream in terms of people understand what the ego is more and more, and they want to do better in terms of getting beyond it. But really, what's happened is that when children are being raised, they're not raised to understand their own energetic anatomy. They're not raised to understand these are thoughts that need to be transmuted into higher thoughts. And so we're not really raised to understand that fear and sadness and grief and the different negative emotions, we're not raised to understand that they are part of life and that we need to always aim for something higher and better and more connected. If we don't understand this, then these emotions and the thoughts that go along with them make us retreat. And we go into ourselves and we disconnect from other people and we disconnect from potential and we don't know how to navigate complexity. So that's what's happened. Imagine that this ego structure is actually developed with greater understanding of how to stay connected to your deeper self and the universe. And you're going to have a different human being.
And I see so much self-delusion in the world today. You see a lot of it on social media and people, living in their ego and being triggered and not, understanding why they're being triggered, et cetera, et cetera. And, the ego, of course, triggering all that good stuff. Tell us how you got in this field. What was your upbringing? How were you raised? And what got you influenced in the field of this type of psychology?
I was raised, so in terms of religion, none at all. So my parents were very careful about having any of us introduced to religion. And they didn't think that would be a healthy thing for us. So I'll tell you what, though, this is kind of a funny thing because I used to sneak out to go to church.
Oh, serious? I used to sneak out of church.
Yes, because I was drawn to it. However, I didn't really, get into it that much, right? Just a little bit here, a little bit there. But mostly, I was raised on a lot of acreage. So it would be like walking out into 40 acres of forest and pastures and that kind of thing. And there were 6 of us, 6 children. And in the morning, my mother would say, go, get out of the house and come back at dinner, So we did that. And I think being connected to nature was the key for me. Because of the vibration. However, this didn't go so well when I was trying to figure out how to understand the chaos in life. And so that was extremely disturbing to me and it scared me. And so by the time I was 19, I was really not having it with, got to grow up, got to get into the workforce, got to do all of that. It felt like so much pressure. And I'm not sure why. My sister said I was like this before I was 19. She said, yeah, don't you remember? You were like that when you were like 6. I'm like, no, I don't remember. And she said, you were. Well, at 19, I had a major spiritual awakening. And that awakening was a time when I was under the stars. And all of a sudden, I had an incredible download about what life really is and what it's supposed to be. But I was so young and I could not integrate that. It took me about 5 years to integrate it into life. But I started out on the journey to do it anyway. I said, I want to understand what happened to me. What did I get? Because I couldn't really even put it into words. So that just started a lifetime journey to understand. So I went into psychology. I did everything alternative that I could. I wanted to understand. And that actually took me to working with pretty amazing people who understood that nobody understood and that I was going to have to figure it out for myself. And so that's why I started to develop my own theories around it.
Yeah. Now, I think you said, did you study psychology and how'd that work out for you? And how long have you been doing it?
Incredible. Yeah. I mean, I hate to date myself, but 40 years, 40 years of studying psychology. But yeah, so I started working with people in my 20s and add 40 years onto that. So that's where we are now. And so, yeah, so I got my, master's in applied behavioral science and worked as a staff counselor in a major, health maintenance organization, big hospital system, basically. So I was able to really get in with people struggling with addiction and people that were, really, really struggling. And so, but after just about 4 years, 5 years, something like that, I knew that I wanted to do more. So that's when I left and I started working with people in an expanded model of energetics and launched my institute, which I taught at for over 20 years until COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah, COVID changed up a lot of people's stuff there, but yeah, definitely. So let's talk about some of the offers you have on your website, things that people can do to interact with you, how they can onboard, reach out to you, get to know you better, et cetera, et cetera. And I think you just have some upcoming events.
Yeah, so thank you for that. If you go to my website, you'll see that it's focused on two things. One is ultra consciousness. And this is what I'm super excited about now, because I think people are ready to go to higher states of consciousness in everyday life. And the movement that I have put together for this is a vehicle. And it's a very powerful vehicle. And so anybody who's interested, it's by application because, of course, I need to screen people. But I meet with them individually or in a small group on Zoom. People can sign up for the SHIB experience and just see if it's a good fit to look at the SHIB movement as a potential vehicle for your evolution of consciousness. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is this leadership pilot. So it's kind of interesting because even though I have been completely focused on evolution of consciousness work as a human potential expert for many years, I love business. Right? I love how businesses work in terms of the potential of businesses. So when I did my work in applied behavioral science, I also specialized in leading and consulting for businesses. So those two things together, human potential work, and then looking at how businesses can reach their potential through very mundane but enlivened processes in every department. But it really comes down to how the leader's going to carry their leadership. So I work on both of those both of those levels.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things I've got going on right now.
You talk about ultra consciousness leadership. And if anything, being a CEO, being a leader, you can pull in a lot of problems if you're running off of ego. You've got to be able to get outside of that. You got to see the world outside, not only from innovation aspect or what's coming in business and your business vision, but also in interacting with others. Correct? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The thing about being a CEO is that you have to tap into the archetype of it. So when I talk about the archetypal energy of being a CEO, I'm talking about king or queen, right? So these are archetypal energies. If we're not plugged in to these archetypal energies, we're going to burn out. We're not going to feel like we can meet the moment. And we're not going to feel like an imposter. Because it's too much. It's too much to be a leader without the extra help from the universe. So, and the worst thing any leader can do is keep their world small. Right? One of the things I'm working with leaders on right now is to start looking at AI more seriously. Because I work with small businesses, and small businesses, oftentimes they love the family vibe. And anything that they think is going to disrupt it or make it more, kind of corporate feeling or something like that, they kind of resist it. And so I'm the very first one to say, you want the processes, the standard operating procedures, the processes, you want everything from the corporate structure, and you can, shift it around in the way that it works for you in terms of your hierarchy or something like that. But don't throw that out, because that is your flow. That's what takes your business into third field. So, and AI 100% needs to be incorporated into your business, because if not, you're going to get left behind.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, there's no other way to do it. And AI is going to help you accelerate your success. So it's pretty fun to help people get out of the smaller mindset and into where we are now, what the potential is now, both in the world and in the cosmos, and bring it all together and say, let's be the absolute best we can be.
Be the best we can be. That's definitely what we want to do, and it sounds like you really help people do it. So give people the final pitch out to reach out to you, to onboard, how they can do it, .coms, et cetera, et cetera.
DaphneMichaels.com. I'd love to talk with you about your leadership, your small business, and also just your own human potential. DaphneMichaels.com.
Well, Daphne, it's been wonderful and insightful to have you on the show, and we all need to get away from the ego. I think we were just talking to somebody on a prior show about that. Ego is can get us in a lot of trouble. I mean, I suppose there's some safety versions there, but thank you very much, Daphne, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Check her out wherever fine books are sold. And I think she's got some authors' books you can find on her website, right? There's some links there, I think, to some different things.
There is. If you go to the books page, you'll see a book that
There you go. Well, thank you very much. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out.